Hello and welcome to this session on implementing ZBar barcode scanner for your Android application. Now ZBar is one of the leading free barcode scanning modules which are available, which you can integrate with your application. Now this is in continuation with a series of other sessions that I've been having with respect to developing an e-commerce application. So in the last session, what we saw is that we have created a search page. In the search page, we have, if I can show you the layout. Yeah, so this is how the search page looks like. We have a search view here. We have a button to integrate the speech to text mechanism, and we have a button through which we are going to integrate the barcode scanning mechanism, and we have a list view which is going to show the search results. Now this part is already implemented. What we are now going to do in this session is to implement the barcode scanning activity, uh, which will get triggered from this particular button here on the search tab. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one. Now to start off, the first thing that we need to do is we need to place these three folders, which is ARM EABI, EABI V7A and x86, these three folders, and the zbar.jar. These four files have to be placed in the libs folder within your project. Now these files are available on the internet, and they are also available for download on my blog semicolon.blogspot.in. The link is available in the description of this particular video, so you can go ahead and check out the blog, and you can download the files from there, and you can also have a look at the source code as well there. Now once you have placed these files here, we are going to go back to search.java. Now in search.java, we are only going to do two things. One is that for the barcode button that we had already placed in the layout, we are going to add a on click listener on that. So this is that part of the code. So we have set the set on click listener, and on click what we are doing is we are calling an activity for result, and the activity that we are calling is barcode.class, and this is the identifier for the particular call. This is a code with which we can identify the response which is coming from the barcode. Now start activity from result is different from start activity, and in the sense that in this particular kind of a call we are expecting a result back from the called activity, whereas in start activity we hand over the control to the next activity, and there is no passing back of information back to the previous activity, unless otherwise you want to implement it through extras in the intent. But in this particular thing, the host activity is expecting results back from the called activity. Okay, so this is just one piece of code that we have written here to uh, put some action onto the barcode button. And also we need to write a piece of code wherein once the barcode uh, has been identified and it is sent back to the search.java activity or the search.java fragment, how do you want to handle that? To do that, we are going down, and we will have a look at the piece of the code which handles that, and that is this method called onActivityResult. Now onActivityResult, as you can see, gets three parameters. One is request code, one is the result code, and the third one is the data. What we are interested in is the data, because this is what will have the barcode. Now we are just checking if the result request code is also one, because that is the request code with which we call the barcode activity. So it should also return the same activity code, or the request code. Now what we're doing here is, if this is one, then we are just moving the barcode which is available in the data into a string called barcode. So the next thing that we are doing is we are checking if the barcode is equal to null. Now the reason why we are checking this is because we will see down the line that if on the while scanning the barcode, if the user clicks on the back button, or if the barcode scanner could not identify a barcode. In both these cases, a null is returned back to the called activity, which is search.java. Now it is not allowed not to return any value. So that is why, if in case that there is a failure of reading the barcode, or that the user has pressed the back button, in both these cases we are actually passing a null value back to the search.java. So that is why we are checking if the barcode which has come back is equal to null. If it is equal to null, then we are not going and doing anything. If it is not null, then what we are doing is, in the search view, which is the search, we are setting the query as a barcode. So what this statement will do is, it will populate the barcode which has come back from the barcode activity back into the search view, and also this particular piece of code is going to expand the search so that the barcode is visible in the search view. So this is all we need to do in the search activity. Now let's move on to the barcode.java activity. This is the activity which handles the barcode function, and this also manages the uh, camera processes as well. Yeah. So in the barcode activity, what we are trying to do is obviously starting off with the initialization. So we are initializing a camera. We are initializing a camera preview. Now, camera preview, we will understand going forward how this is being handled. We are also initializing a handler called autofocus handler, an image scanner called scanner, and there are a couple of boolean variables which are used just to check the state of the barcode scanning in progress. So in the onCreate method, what we are doing is we are mapping the XML, the activity underscore barcode XML. We will quickly have a look at it, and we are mapping it to this particular activity, and we are also setting the orientation of this activity to portrait. Now, just to give you a quick glimpse of this activity underscore barcode XML. So let me just bring it up. Yeah. So this is the XML. What you can see here is just it's a basic linear layout, and we have a frame layout in between. And this is the part which will basically display the camera, the preview of the camera. This is the size, and notice that we have actually made the screen smaller, so it should open up as a pop-up. We will see how to do that. So this is a much smaller screen, and it will not fill up the entire screen. We have defined the width and the height here. Okay. Now going back to the barcode activity. Now in this part, what we are doing is that the scanner is a function which is a ZBar function. So what we are just doing is that we have already initialized that. We are now in this particular area, we are just initializing the parameters for the scanner. So this is the density which defines for in the X density and the Y density, which defines how much, at what granularity, you can say, is the scanning going to happen to identify the barcode. So if you reduce this, so what happens is that the chances of a barcode getting identified also goes down. If you increase it too much, then it can have an impact on the performance, because then the barcode is going to be scanned at uh, in the preview to a much greater extent. So what I found is 400 is a typically decent number to manage both, not to compromise the performance as well as to have a decent amount of scanning. So ZBar is a very powerful module which can scan multiple formats. So it can scan EN13, EN8, UPC-A, UPC-E. It can even scan QR codes and different kinds of codes. So if you keep it too broad, what happens is that ZBar actually checks for each of these algorithms for every preview that is being given by the camera, which only means that it is going to spend much more time. So what I have done is that, first of all, I have just disabled all of the algorithms and by making it 0. So this is a parameter which is config.enable, and for this I have passed a 0 here, which means that it is going to disable all the particular algorithms. Okay, and then what I've done is I have just specifically enabled these four as 1. So what will happen is ZBar is only going to check for these four different formats of barcodes, and is going to ignore all other algorithms. Okay. So the next thing which happens is basically the preview. Now camera preview is a method which we will see here. It's a separate file which we are going to see. So what the camera preview is doing is basically taking the camera instance, the preview as well as the autofocus as the input, and it is performing certain activities which we're going to see in the next file. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just mapping the frame layout with the camera preview, which is the frame layout available in the XML, and I'm setting M preview as the view for preview element, which is nothing but the frame layout. Now the next thing that we are going to do is the get camera instance, which is just the initialization of the camera object. So here what we are doing is, if the camera is we are trying to open the camera and map it to this variable, and if there is an exception, then obviously we can put some code to handle it here, and we are returning this instance back, so that this is the new instance of a camera. Now the next thing that we have written is with respect to release camera. We will see that this gets called in multiple places. Now release camera is about releasing the camera so that it does not continue to keep consuming more and more memory resources and processing resources. So what it is checking is that if the M camera is not null, which means that if the camera has already been initialized, then we are setting a flag of previewing to false, so that the previewing also stops, and then we are setting the set preview callback to null, and we are doing a release of the camera. Moving on to camera preview. Now camera preview callback is a callback which is done by Android when there is a preview which is available uh, for display. Now there is a method called onPreviewFrame, and it gives the data, which is nothing but the byte data for the preview which has been captured. Now what we are doing here is we are just capturing the parameters of the camera, and then we are getting the preview size from the camera parameters, and then what we are doing is we are just initializing an image called barcode and setting the size and the width as the same as the size and the width of the camera preview, and then we are setting the data for that particular image as the data which has been received from the on preview frame methods parameters. Now this particular information is passed to the scanner, to the scan image method of scanner. Now scanner is, as I had mentioned, is a ZBar class which does all the functionalities with respect to doing the logic for identifying the barcode from a preview. So what we are doing here is we are calling the scanner method, scanner class, and the scan image method, and trying to see if the ZBar could identify a barcode in that particular preview, and the result is captured here. If the result is not equal to 0, which means that the result was captured, then we are going to implement a logic. Otherwise this process is going to continue till the time that a result is identified, or the user presses a back button to come back to the search menu or the search screen. So if the result has been identified, which means that ZBar has been able to identify a barcode, we are setting the previewing as false, because this is the flag which we are using to demarcate whether we should continue to do the preview or we should stop the preview and exit. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to set the previewing flag as false. Then we are going to set the mCamera.set preview callback to null, which means that no more preview is required to be taken. And we are going to stop the preview for the camera, and the scanner.get results is going to get us the data with respect to the results that we have identified. And then what we are doing is we are just getting the scan results data, and we are passing it as a parameter against the tag of barcode, the return intent, releasing the camera, and we are calling the finish. So this set result is going to pass the information back to the calling activity. Moving on, so this part of the code will get executed, wherein the autofocus will happen every 1 second till the time ZBar has been able to identify a barcode or the user has pressed the back button. These are the two functions, which is on back pressed and on pause. In case of a pause of that particular activity, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to release the camera, because if we keep holding the camera, then the application will might be terminated by the Android operating system. Back pressed is what happens when the user presses the back button. Now, what we are going to do when the back press method is called, or when the back button is pressed, is we're going to release the camera, and we are going to create a new intent and put null as a barcode, and we are going to pass the result back to the calling activity, which is search result. Sorry, which is search.java. And then obviously we are going to call the super method on back press. Now let's come back to this part of the code, because I feel that we need to go through it once more before we can go to camera preview. Now, as you may be aware that to view or to preview a camera, we need a surface view, because surface view is something which is different from a view, as it can be used to display high refresh content like video playback or camera preview. The main reason why we use surface view and not view to display camera preview is because the surface view updates in a different thread, in a separate thread, whereas a view gets updated in the same thread. So surface view can because it is running in a separate thread, can use much more resources and to do the video playback or the camera preview. Okay, so in this particular case, in camera preview, we will see we have created a new instance of a camera. We have initialized the camera, and we are mapping this camera to the surface view, which we are going to create in the camera preview class. And also we are passing the preview callback and the autofocus callback as parameters. And the next thing that we do is that we map the frame layout preview, and we set this the surface view as the view for the frame layout. Coming to the camera preview.java, what we see here is that it is an extension of the surface view class, and it also implements the surface holder.callback. It is very important that the surface is defined first, it is initialized first, and then only the preview starts. Otherwise, there may be a problem in the display and the application may fail. So in this particular class, what we see first is that we are going to call this constructor method to map the parameter variables to the local variables, which is camera, preview callback, and the autofocus callback. And the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to install a surface holder dot callback, which is nothing but this mholder dot add callback, so that we get notified when the surface is created, because only when the surface is created we should start the preview. Now these are the methods which gets called when the surface gets created or when the surface gets destroyed. Now when the surface gets created, what we are doing is we are just setting the set preview display, as a holder for that particular surface. So here what we are doing is we are mapping the preview display of the camera to the holder, which is nothing but the surface holder which we have just defined. And this is the case if the user happens to rotate the phone, in which case the surface change will get called. There is a code which is already in place to basically change the orientation and stop the surface and start the surface again and start the preview as well from the camera. Now, once this part of the code is done, the last thing that we need to do is come to the Android manifest file, and we have to add the camera permissions, which is permission.camera, hardware.camera, and hardware.camera.autofocus. This is required to basically enable the autofocus for the phone. Obviously, we are adding a new activity, so we also have to define that in the Android manifest file. One thing that you might have noticed here is that while the launch mode for the other activity is a single task, in this particular case, the launch mode is single top. Now, the reason why this is required is that this activity, which is a barcode activity, should get triggered as a pop-up on top of the existing activity, and it is obviously we have defined it as a smaller size, so the activity below is visible and this comes as a pop-up on top of that. And once this scanning is done, it should go back to the base activity which is available or which is visible at the back. So this is what single top does. Now once everything is defined, what we're going to go ahead and do is run this application. Yeah, so as you can see, we are back to the search screen. Now this part we had already implemented earlier. If I press the barcode scan button, what will happen is you will see that a small pop-up window opens up, and this is a window which can be used to scan the barcode. So I have a packet of Horlicks available here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the barcode. As you can see, the scanning was successful, and based on the barcode, this application actually fetched the data of Horlicks from the website. Thank you for watching this tutorial. If you like the content, please do not forget to press the like button. Also, do subscribe if you want to stay tuned as we proceed to develop further on this Android e-commerce application. Thank you.